religious community of Rexburg, Idaho, is rocked when two young children go missing, and it seems their own mother and a dangerous doomsday cult is responsible.
Did you do something to your children? Are your children still alive?
The investigative injustices in this case began in January 2019 when Lori Vallow's then husband Charles warned Lori was a danger to everyone around her.
She threatened me. She said, I can murder you now.
But police did not heed his warning, resulting in a devastating tragedy. One that ultimately left 7-year-old JJ and 16-year-old Tylee vulnerable. After not hearing from the children for 3 long months, their grandparents called police, begging for help. That welfare check caused law enforcement to look into Lori Vallow's disturbing past, where they discovered her dedication to a bizarre religious cult. Now, after a 7-month-long investigation, the family's worst nightmare has come true.
Detectives and investigators have recovered what's believed to be human remains.
How did Lori Vallow go from loving mom to someone who would adopt a radical belief system and possibly allow her own children to be murdered? Everyone, including me, wants to know, how did we get here? And where is the justice for JJ and Tylee? When you become a victim of violent crime, justice is not an idea or a concept. Justice gets personal. Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow have been missing now for 7 months, and the one person who holds the key to their whereabouts sits behind bars, refusing to speak. Their own mother, Lori Vallow.
June 9th was a beautiful summer morning. I got a text and the message said 15 to 20 cops are at Chad Daybell's house. The streets were closed around the entire block. The investigators were in the backyard. They had canine dogs out. The FBI unit was parked on the street. We knew that this was serious.
Human remains have been discovered on Chad Daybell's property.
The Rexburg Police Department has confirmed that the 2 sets of remains are in fact Lori Vallow's 2 children.
There had been hope in the community that JJ and Tylee were still alive. At that moment, the sense of hope instantly turned to immense sadness and anger. Rexburg calls itself America's family community. It's small town farmland, low crime.
The majority of the people who live in Rexburg are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or what some people refer to as LDS or Mormons.
Stuff like this does not happen here.
As authorities try to figure out how JJ and Tylee ended up in a shallow grave, investigators first need to look at Mother Lori Vallow, the one person responsible for the safety and well-being of these children.
My mom, she was a cheerleader, very upbeat, funny, grew up very close to her siblings, especially my uncle Alex. We were a very close family. For my mom, family has always come first. She would jump in front of a bullet for us. There's no doubt about that. That's not even a question.
Tylee was 16 and she was a force to be reckoned with. She was very curious. She had a wild imagination. She had a fantastic sense of humor. She was just a lot of fun. JJ was just a bundle of energy. He's very, very sweet.
JJ is 7 years old. He's autistic, incredibly smart, and incredibly loving, and just totally pure.
My mom grew up a member of the LDS Church. She always had a belief in Jesus Christ, and she really found herself in religion. But my mom has been through a lot of brokenness, a lot of hurt, constantly being in turmoil over court, over custody battles, over everything.
By 2005, Lori had 3 failed marriages and had even suffered domestic violence at the hands of third husband, Joe Ryan, who was Tylee's biological father and Colby Ryan's adoptive father. After taking her children and leaving Joe Ryan, Lori found herself as a single mom trying to make ends meet. She worked as a hairstylist in a salon in Austin, Texas. But in her fourth marriage to Charles Vallow, Lori seemingly found happiness, and according to son Colby, was an ideal mother.
I think my mom has always looked for stability. I think she's looked for someone to try to take care of her. He was really sweet, and he really cared about her from the beginning.
Charles Vallow seemed like the perfect match for Lori, and they shared strong family values. In fact, when Charles's sister, Kay Woodcock, asked Charles to adopt her grandson, he and Lori welcomed JJ into their home with open arms.
Charles wanted to bring him into our family and give him brothers and sisters and, two parents and let him grow up around that dynamic. And my mom was on board with that 100%.
So what happened to this devout, loving mom?
I spoke with a woman who closely worked with Lori back in 2014, and she tells me that Lori picked up a book by an LDS author, Chad Daybell, and that Lori became obsessed with that book. Chad Daybell wrote over 24 books, often dealing with doomsday, the end of times.
Chad writes in his autobiography that he has had a near-death experience. He was in Southern California at the beach, and a large wave crashed him down. And at that point, he says that his body was separated from his soul. He says he was able to receive direct messages from God. He was able to communicate with his ancestors. Chad believed that the world was going to end with floods, fires, earthquakes, and that the second coming of Jesus Christ will happen around July 2020.
Chad took his books to the internet and to podcasts and would speak throughout the country, and people would come and fill up buildings to hear what he has to say because he was idolized.
Lori was a good, concerned mother and someone who was involved in her children's life. And then suddenly, once she started following Chad, reading his books, she changed and she became obsessed with this apocalyptic vision.
Lori starts interacting with Chad Daybell through different websites, and they started to build a community discussing these type of things.
Lori felt like she had some kind of direct connect with God, that any crazy thought that came into her mind was somehow, God speaking some message to her.
In 2018, Lori Vallow, who already believes she received messages from God, met Chad Daybell, a religious zealot. Was this the turning point for Lori Vallow and her family?
I did notice a tectonic shift in 2018. Like, her focus seemed to have kind of a dark cloud. She, at one point, said that the end times were going to be so scary, she just wondered if it would be better to just put her kids in a car and go over the side of a cliff.
Lori's husband, Charles Vallow, as a threat.
Lori said JJ had become possessed by a zombie.
Chad claimed he could see into the soul of people. The only way to correct a zombie was death.
Before JJ and Tylee went missing in the fall 2019, Lori Vallow talked about ending their lives because she feared an impending doomsday. Now that their bodies have been unearthed on suspected cult leader Chad Daybell's property, investigators interview family, friends, and church members about Lori Vallow's beliefs. They learned that in the fall of 2018, Vallow met Chad Daybell for the first time when she attended a conference where Daybell was signing his books.
Chad Daybell wrote prolifically these doomsday books with apocalyptic themes. In his writings, Chad Daybell saw himself as the latest incarnation of a prophet.
Lori and Chad hit it off instantly, and they started talking about different visions that they had. In fact, at one point during that very first conversation, Chad told Lori that they had been married to each other in a previous life.
In the writings of the Mormon Church, Doctrines and Covenants, there's mentioned a Church of the Firstborn. That would be an elite group that had a special role in the end of the world. So Chad was pitching his doomsday books to largely an LDS Mormon audience. He could strike a familiar chord with people that he wanted to recruit.
Lori Vallow's history of failed marriages, custody battles, verbal abuse, and her devout religious beliefs predisposed her to the enticements of a destructive cult.
A lot of what he would tell and share with his audience that he targeted was that he was going to lead the 144,000 mentioned in the book of Revelation, God's Green Berets, and in my opinion used this to lure people in and also to coerce them. Because if you are left out of the 144,000, then you would not be protected by God, and you would receive the wrath of God and his judgment.
What these individuals do is they take legitimate tenets of a religion and then bastardize them into beliefs that are not only unrecognizable to the mainstream, but that benefit them.
X-ray vision. He could see into the soul of people. And so he would label people either in the light or in the darkness. And if they had lost their spirit, they were, as he would say, a zombie. The only way that the body could be alleviated of being in this zombie state was if the body were killed.
Chad and Lori start communicating with each other every single day, multiple times a day. They get private phones that only they use with each other, and they build this relationship.
The key to controlling people, if you're a cult leader, is isolation from people who might raise questions about what's happening to you, that might criticize what is going on under the control of the leader.
Through Lori Vallow, Daybell found another follower in her brother, Alex Cox, and appeared to lure them both into his teachings. But is it possible Lori Vallow allowed herself to be manipulated by suspected cult leader Chad Daybell? Manipulated into allowing her own family to be harmed?
Chad starts having revelations and prophecies that he tells Lori about. And he predicted that the world would end July 22nd, 2020. And at one point, according to Lori's good friend Melanie Gibb, Chad tells her that her husband, Charles Vallow, has become a zombie.
Charles had a lot of concerns about Lori's behavior, the way that she had changed.
It's at this point Charles Vallow called police, alleging Lori Vallow was a danger to himself and the children.
She's lost her mind. She thinks she's a resurrected being and a god, and remember the 144,000. Jesus is coming next year.
Charles was actually fearful the kids could be in harm's way. You see the actions of a desperate father trying to do everything in his power to protect JJ from the machinations of a crazed woman.
So what makes her a danger to herself and to others? She threatened me, murder me, kill me. She said, "You're not Charles. I don't know who you are, what you did with Charles, but I can murder you now." So how does she pose a threat to your children? I don't know what she's going to do with them. I don't know if she's going to flee with them. She's going to hurt them.
As a parent, she has the right to take her children.
I don't know what to do. I need help, and she needs help. She needs help.
Getting no help from authorities, and in desperation, Charles Vallow filed for divorce.
It was a very acrimonious divorce. I can't point the fear and the trauma that he must have been dealing with at that time. All of this chaos eventually crescendos on July 11th, 2019.
Fire department, what is the emergency?
I shot my brother-in-law.
11 months before JJ and Tylee went missing, Lori Vallow's then-husband, Charles, saw signs she was a threat. And he alerted authorities about her erratic behavior, but no one listened. After separating from Lori and filing for a protective order, Charles Vallow was forced to share custody of 7-year-old JJ. One fateful day, Charles Vallow went to pick up JJ from Lori Vallow's house, and a heated custody argument ensued.
Fire department, what is the emergency?
I shot my brother-in-law.
Okay, is he awake and responsive or unconscious?
Unconscious.
Okay, is he breathing?
I can't tell.
There's body camera video of what happened in the moments after Charles' death. But what actually happened inside that room, there's no video of that.
Have a seat. The police have to make a determination whether or not it's some kind of a homicide and the role that self-defense may have played in that activity or not.
And where are you at? Where are you both at? Living room. Okay.
And then I turned around and he hit me in the back of the head with the bat. So I went to my room and got my gun.
Lori knew that her husband was dead, but her demeanor wasn't from a woman whose husband had just been shot in the chest.
So the neighbors don't know us.
Gotcha.
Like, hi neighbor, sorry.
Here you have a man lying dead inside the house, and she couldn't be more casual.
I hit him in the head with the bat. He grabbed his gun to put the bat down, and I didn't, so he shot him in the chest. Okay.
At the time, Alex Cox claimed self-defense, but with hindsight, it's easy to see another motive. Clearly, Charles Vallow was going to do everything in his power to protect the children from Lori Vallow and her new beliefs. Did suspected cult leader Chad Daybell convince Lori Vallow and Alex Cox to kill Charles?
In my opinion, Chad Daybell would have seen Lori's husband, Charles Vallow, or anyone in Lori's family.
I just can't imagine what it must have been like for Tylee and JJ to be in the house where Charles Vallow was shot twice in the chest, and then the events that transpired afterwards. It must have been absolutely traumatizing.
I'm at work and I get a call from my mom, and she said that Charles had a heart attack. I remember driving over there, just in shock. Tylee answered the door and she hugged me and she just started bawling. Alex was there and he had like a wrap on his head, and my mom was outside. I asked her what happened with Al, like why he has a wrap on his head, and she almost like without hesitation just tells me that they got in a fight, and she said Al shot him twice. And I've never felt anything like that in my life. It's just every emotion that you can have at one time.
If responding officers who Charles Vallow pleaded with just a few months earlier had recognized the seriousness of the situation, Charles Vallow may still be alive today. And to add salt to the wound, Lori Vallow and brother Alex Cox's stories were taken at face value. How about some sort of an investigation, or simply guarding the children's safety in that bizarre environment? It's a tragic injustice that no one within law enforcement saw the very real danger Tylee and JJ were in.
Charles Vallow waited too long because he didn't quite understand what he was looking at. What's happened to my wife? Why is she behaving so bizarrely? And what I know regarding destructive cult leaders like David Koresh and Charles Manson is they understand that while those people are struggling to understand what they have done to the cult victim, they're moving in, and it's often too late.
Once Charles Vallow's out of the picture, Lori Vallow is able to now commit to Chad Daybell and his cult. On August 31, 2019, Lori Vallow and brother Alex Cox moved to Rexburg, Idaho, taking JJ and Tylee along with them.
It seems that Chad Daybell succeeded, and then Lori comes to him in Rexburg. Lori would hear no other voices, and he could dominate her time and her mind in such a way as to control her.
As Lori and Chad's relationship continued, it looked as if Chad called the shots. So when he predicted that
Shortly after moving to Rexburg, Lori Vallow's friend Melanie Gibb went to visit. She later tells police what she observed during that trip.
Melanie was watching Lori and Chad fall in love, and they were holding hands and kissing in public. But Chad is still married to Tammy, and Lori told Melanie that Chad says they weren't allowed to get a divorce. And Chad also told Lori on multiple occasions that Tammy was now a zombie, and she was going to die because that was all part of God's plan. And then Lori said JJ had become possessed by a zombie, and that she was going to take JJ to JJ's grandmother, so that Lori would be able to do her mission with Chad. That entire visit, Melanie never saw Tylee, and Tylee was never spoken of. Tammy became suspicious about this time, and she confronted Chad about having an affair with Lori. And then a few weeks later, Tammy goes to bed coughing, and the next day Chad says that he woke up and he found his wife dead.
In early September 2019, Lori Vallow moved to Rexburg to be with suspected cult leader Chad Daybell. As their relationship developed into a full-blown affair, it didn't take long for Daybell's wife, Tammy, to figure out what was going on and confront her husband. This may have been the fatal mistake for Tammy, as she mysteriously passes away October 19, 2019.
Typically speaking, an autopsy can occur if there is a suspicious circumstance surrounding the death, or if a family member requests it. But in this case, the police department asked if they could conduct an autopsy, and Chad said no.
Unbelievably, just 2 weeks after Tammy's death, Chad Daybell flew off to Hawaii with Lori Vallow for a beachside wedding and a 2-week honeymoon. When his family's understandably caught off guard by the decision, Daybell claimed it was Tammy's spirit that led him to Lori Vallow.
One of Chad's children met with a friend a few weeks after Chad remarried. She asked, "How are you doing since your mother passed away?" And he said, "I'm doing well, except my dad has remarried." And she thought he was joking and laughed, and he said, "No, I'm serious."
In my opinion, Chad Daybell took on a new wife who was a true believer, and he shed the old wife who he felt could no longer help him. Chad Daybell engendered a world that could be seen in darkness, negative, something to be afraid of. And if you were with him, you would be safe. But if you considered anything as an alternative, you might jeopardize your eternal soul. You would be destroyed, including family, old friends, and even your children.
Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell returned from their Hawaiian honeymoon, anxious to further their mission. But soon, their bubble would burst. Grandparents Kay and Larry Woodcock had not heard from JJ, Tylee, or Lori in 3 months and were extremely concerned for the children's safety.
JJ would call them dozens of times a day on the iPad just to chat for 10 or 20 seconds and say, "Hi, Grandpa, hi, Grandma," and then hang up. The last time that JJ's grandparents heard from them was August 30th. It was through a FaceTime call, and they said that JJ appeared as if he was reading something off of a paper, and then the call disconnected.
The Woodcocks were so worried, they requested a welfare check on JJ and Tylee. But when questioned by Rexburg PD, Lori Vallow claimed the children were staying with Melanie Gibb in Arizona.
When police were able to get a hold of Melanie Gibb, Melanie told them, "I haven't seen the kids in quite a while. You need to go back to Lori and figure out where these kids are."
Because Lori Vallow lied, police now had probable cause to search her property for the children. But when police returned with a warrant, Vallow was gone. She had fled Idaho.
detectives came the day before Thanksgiving, and they're like, "Have you seen Tyler or JJ?" And they just started flipping out, like, "What are you talking about?" They checked all these places my mom said that the kids were, and they're not anywhere. And I remember calling my mom, and I was just like, "What's going on? Where are they?" And she's really fast and brief, and she said, "I'll take care of it." Call her next day.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
Phone is disconnected. And then I remember just having this feeling in my gut about Tylee and JJ. And that's when I just first ever felt concerned about him.
Rexburg PD opened a missing persons case, contacted the FBI, and began tracking Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell.
The Rexburg Police Department and the FBI were able to pin down Lori and Chad's movements in Kauai because they were pinging their cell phones.
They found that Chad and Lori really set off alarm bells, that this may not be a missing person case, this may actually be a homicide investigation.
In a bizarre twist, while Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell were off in Hawaii hiding out, Vallow's brother, Alex Cox, was found dead on the floor of his bathroom. The coroner declared his death was due to natural causes. But his unexpected death was not enough to get Lori Vallow to return to Rexburg. After weeks of surveillance in Hawaii, police decided to put pressure on Vallow in hopes she would reveal the whereabouts of her children.
On December 20th, 2019, the Rexburg Police Department puts out a release saying, "We need the public's help on this case."
JJ Vallow's grandparents believe he's still alive, and they're offering a $20,000 reward.
We hope and pray these kids are alive. Please give them back to us.
In December of 2019, 12 months after Charles Vallow warned police his children were in danger, and 3 months after their grandparents heard from JJ for the last time, police alerted the media and asked the public for help in locating Lori Vallow's missing children.
The FBI and police across the country are looking for 2 missing children from Idaho who might be in extreme danger.
This is Lori Vallow, the children's mother, and this is the man police believe she's with, Chad Daybell.
I found out they were missing the same way everyone else did. It was through the news, and it was shocking. Law enforcement released that Lori had taken 2 pictures at Yellowstone National Park on September 8th, 2019. So we had a date and timestamp for when Tylee was last seen.
Tylee was with her mom, Lori, and her uncle, Alex Cox, who we know is now dead.
Fast forward to the beginning of January, Lori's credit card is declined at a storage facility. The owner tries to reach out to her multiple ways to tell her that she needs to pay her bill. She never responded. There were boxes of children's items. One blanket that was covered in photos of JJ, one blanket covered in photos of Tylee.
Why should Lori Vallow be concerned about the children when the end of the world was coming in July? So she was preparing for the end.
That was just staggering for me. It just signaled, just can not only go off to Hawaii with her new husband, but leave all evidence of her children's lives in a storage unit. That was really the moment where I just thought, I don't think we're gonna see these kids alive.
After 2 months collecting evidence, tracking cell phone pings, and surveilling Lori Vallow across state lines without finding any sign of the children, authorities were finally able to take the next step in the missing persons case.
Lori Vallow was served with a court order on January 25th that she needed to produce the children to the Rexburg Police Department or the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare by January 30th. Did you do something to your children? Are your children still alive? January 30th came and went, and there were no children.
We begin with breaking news. Right now at 6, we have just learned that Lori Vallow has been arrested in Hawaii.
Police showed up at Lori and Chad's townhouse in Kauai and took her into custody. Lori was booked into jail, but Chad was free, and he would spend hours every day communicating with Lori through the video chat system in jail.
In my opinion, the way in which he could continue to manipulate Lori Vallow was through the visits at the jail. He could just speak endlessly about the future of the world, the end times, and was projecting a date, July 22nd, 2020. Basically, he continued the marination of her mind.
During the 7-month-long investigation into JJ and Tyler's disappearance, authorities collected vast amounts of evidence. And on June 1st, they finally got a huge break in the case.
FBI agents pulled data from cell phones and other devices. This can take weeks, months, sometimes several years.
According to FBI experts, they can nail someone down within just a span of a few feet. And they actually pinpointed Alex Cox's phone on September 9th.
The day after the family returned from Yellowstone, Alex 3:37 that morning. And later, around 9:21, Alex's phone showed up at Chad Daybell's property, right at a pet cemetery. And it stayed there for over 2 hours.
Then, according to the FBI, on September 23rd, Alex Cox was in Chad Daybell's backyard by the pond from 9:55 to 10:12 a.m.
Once investigators discovered the information on Alex's phone, they decided to contact Melanie Gibb again and ask her some follow-up questions. Melanie Gibb told investigators that on their last night in Rexburg, September 22nd, Melanie Gibb and her boyfriend remember seeing Alex carrying JJ out of the house, and JJ was asleep on Alex's shoulder. The next morning, Melanie and her boyfriend ask her where JJ is, and Lori responded by saying, well, JJ turned into a zombie, he knocked over a picture of Jesus that was on the fridge, and so Alex came to take care of him. That's the last time that JJ was seen. With all of this new information being discovered, it was enough for a search warrant on Chad Daybell's property. Within a matter of hours, police discovered the body of a juvenile near the pond. It appeared to be a boy wrapped in plastic and duct tape. Chad Daybell watched the police as they were searching his property, but the moment they pulled up the body from the ground, Daybell got in his car and took off.
The last time JJ or Tylee were seen alive was 9 months ago. Once the FBI obtains a warrant to excavate suspected cult leader Chad Daybell's backyard, they make a gruesome discovery: the remains of a young boy. Moments later, Daybell flees the scene.
Chad Daybell didn't make it very far before the police got up to him and surrounded him, took him out of the car, and put him in handcuffs. Police start digging through the pet cemetery.
That's when police make a grisly discovery, that of another child. This child is dismembered and burned.
So badly destroyed, in fact, the only recoverable body part is a jawbone. In order to confirm the victims as JJ and Tylee, as well as cause and manner of death, both sets of remains are sent to Boise for a complete autopsy. This horrible discovery means police finally have enough evidence to charge Chad Daybell.
JJ's uncle was able to 100% confirm that the one child was his nephew, JJ, by looking at a photo of the body. And once police were able to test the jawbone, they were able to confirm that the second child was Tylee.
Whether Chad is the driving force behind this, I think most of us looking at this case theorize that Lori is still responsible for the children being murdered.
Now that Chad is in jail, he can no longer speak for hours with Lori. She's no longer hearing his voice bombing through her brain. She can break free and start to think about what has really happened, the end of her innocent children's lives. And the fact that July 22nd, 2020 came and went and the world didn't end, and Chad couldn't coach Lori and tell her how to perceive the failure of his prophecy, maybe that could be the beginning of a thought process for Lori to doubt Chad Daybell. But only time will tell.
The family members of JJ and Tylee had all sorts of emotions. There was a strong sense of sadness, hopelessness, and grief. They want justice for these children who had a horrible injustice done to them.
I pray for my mom every day who has become a victim. I just miss my mom being my mom. To hear her so convicted in some of the things that she says about the end of the world, it's just hard because it's unrecognizable, and it just makes me feel like I just lost her a while ago. It's just tough, to watch your entire family literally just explode from the inside. Tylee has like a laugh that just fills the room. JJ's the funniest kid I've ever seen, and I just really miss being around them. I'll never take anything like that for granted again with anybody.
In concert with the FBI, and I think that they are mounting a very compelling case against Lori and Chad. I believe that justice will be served.
All of this, every single tragedy, could have been prevented. Instead, Charles Vallow's murder was not investigated properly, and Lori Vallow retained custody, despite the overwhelming signs of child endangerment. And while some may argue Lori Vallow was under cult leader Chad Daybell's control, that does not absolve her of responsibility for the lives of her own children. Now prosecutors must determine Lori Vallow and Alex Cox's part in the murders. The evidence points to Alex Cox as executioner, but did he act alone, or did he have help? Yet another injustice is that he's also dead, so we may never find out the truth. Some may think Lori Vallow is a victim of Chad Daybell's, but the real victims here are Charles Vallow, Tammy Daybell, JJ Vallow, and Tylee Ryan. For more information, go to oxygen.com.